keep them away, right? Joan and Molly. You prefer to make this instead?
Okay.
What are you doing?
Okay.
I did.
Shabbos.
Shabbat.
See the kids, they get into it, they love it, they sing, they dance, they sing and dance in a circle around the We're live.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
If you're interested in a Karlbach Shabbat, leave a comment. If you even know what that is, leave a comment.
No, I know you're going to think this is ridiculous, but I've heard that his name is actually pronounced
Karlbach?
Karlbach.
It's true. It's true.
I believe it's sillier that way, but
Shichlach.
Toda.
There you go. Okay, and
Shh, Anna's watching. Be nice. All right, welcome everyone. Shabbat Shalom. So delighted that you are joining us tonight for Shabbat services for this Shabbat of Pesach. So we hope that you have been having an enjoyable Passover so far. Don't worry, it's almost over. And we're glad that you could be able to spend just a little time with us this evening. So we're going to start tonight because it has been a beautiful day and it feels like we're finally heading into spring. So we'll start with simple words. Ma yafeh hayom, how beautiful is this day. Shabbat Shalom. Ma yafeh hayom. Shabbat Shalom, Ma yafeh hayom. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. Ma yafeh hayom, Shabbat Shalom, Ma yafeh hayom, Shabbat Shalom. How beautiful is this Sabbath day. So we begin services like we always do with the blessings that we know you are hopefully doing at your Shabbat table as we start with lighting our Shabbat candles. Tonight we are lighting our candles and saying our Kiddush in honor of Gabe Fields, who is becoming bar mitzvah tomorrow. He is so ready. Gabe, we are so excited for you and your family and can't wait to celebrate with you tomorrow. For those who want to join us, you are welcome to watch the live stream. But tonight we are going to light the candles for you. So if Joan and Molly, can you all come up and help us, please? And if you're following along in our Siddur, God bless you. It is on page 2, our candle blessing.
You want one shot?
The really new ones. These are totally the
Okay, all right.
Yeah, that's what I did.
Technology.
All right, so we light our candles. Oop. Not our sleeves. Good. Beautiful. Bring in that Shabbat spirits. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat. It's beautiful. And let's raise our glasses for Kiddush. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei pari hagafen.
L'chaim v'la briut.
And then tonight we have some yummy treats made for us by Maura Diane that are pesadicha. Even though they look like rolls, they are good for Passover. If you are still wondering, by the way.
So what's the date? What's
the Reformed tradition, which is the same.
Yes?
So the Reformed tradition, which is the same as what it says in the Torah, is that Pesach is a 7-day holiday, which means that you will have officially ended it, exactly, a week after you started it. So tomorrow night's dinner would be your first dinner where you are able to eat bread again. So, but we still get to do our motzi because it's the same blessing, even if you're not doing a bread. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. You can try a little bit. Yeah. All right.
The biblical
And then we'll do.
Raisin cookies.
Oh, well, good. Save some for me. All right. So then we do our blessing over the children that we do on Friday nights, usually at the Shabbat table.
All right, I thought you were going to switch. All right. Yisimcha Elohim ke'Ephraim v'chi Menashe. May God make you great like Ephraim and Menashe.
Yisimech Elohim kasara Rivka Rachel v'Leah. May God make you like Sarah and Rebecca, Rachel and Leah, matriarchs of our people. We're not done yet. See one more truths. I know. Yevarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May God bless you and keep you. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'yichunecha.
May God's light shine upon you and guide you as you go on your way.
May God's countenance be lifted over you and may you be granted with wholeness and with peace. Oh, we were going to sing OZ and I forgot. Can we do OZ now?
You can. You're reading the whole.
I know. I was so excited.
Okay. All right. L'chaim.
All right. So you may remember that one of the songs that we have beginning our services with for, at least the past year, and we did it quite a lot before that, was Oziv Zimrat Yah. And what we haven't told you is that Oziv Zimrat Yah actually comes straight from the Torah portion, and it is the portion that Gabe is reading tomorrow. It's a portion that we read more than once in the year. We usually actually read it in usually like January because it's the Song of the Sea, but we read it again during Chol HaMoed Pesach, the intermediate days of Pesach. And when we say it, it's right when Moses and Miriam and Israelites are crossing the sea, and they say, "The Lord is my strength and might. He is become my salvation." So that's Oziv Zimrat Yah. Oziv Zimrat Yah. Vayehi Yeshua, Ozi v'Zimrat Yah, Vayehi Yeshua, Ozi v'Zimrat Yah, Vayehi Yeshua, Ozi v'Zimrat Yah. Vayehi Yeshua, Ozi v'Zimrat Yah, Vayehi Yeshua. And so we're going to turn now to our call to worship. And if you're following along in your Siddur, which you can do. The link is on our website, or if you have one in paper at home, you can do that as well, and it is on page 28. I don't think so.
Baruch hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam va'ed, Le'olam va'ed. Yadadai-dai-dai, yadadai-dai-dai, yadadai-dai-dai.
And we take a moment, we cover our eyes, we drown out the sounds of the world around us. We sing of the oneness of God.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Le'olam va'ed.
So Gabe's Parsha tomorrow is special because not only does it have Ozi v'Zimra in it, not only is it one of the particularly cool looking sections of our Torah that looks totally different, but it also has the Michamocha in it, those words that talk about freedom from slavery, about freedom to be the people we want to be. So tomorrow, again, if you're able to tune in, you will be able to hear him chant those words directly from the Torah. But the words that are not there are the words that we always sing next in our evening services. The one that asks God to always spread a shelter of protection over us once we have found that freedom. That's the Hashkivenu, and Hashkivenu can be found in your prayer books on page 42.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, B'hamidenu shomreinu L'chaim. Spread the shelter of your peace over us. Guide us in wisdom, compassion, and trust. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, B'hamidenu shomreinu L'chaim. Save us for the sake of your name. Shield us from hatred, sorrow, and pain. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, B'hamidenu shomreinu L'chaim.
We're going to turn now in our service to Tefillah. And tonight we'll do Tefillah together, but before we go on to Gevurot, I'm going to stop you and I'm going to teach you a new part of the prayer that I don't think we've ever done in Temple Israel tonight, but we're going to start. So if you'd like to join us in Tefillah and you're following along, it is on page 46.
Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagid zayilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei avoteinu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah. האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, גומל חסדים טובים, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. So traditionally we continue on now with the words of Gvurot that start Ata Gibor Le'olam Adonai. But if you're following along in your prayer book, and if you're not, it's okay, I'm going to tell you what comes next. You may notice that there are a few little lines in there that they're written in smaller print, the fine print that we don't always do. And I want to call one of them to mind because there's a portion in the very beginning that talks about God's ability to bring on the seasons. And there is one that we say in the winter where we say Mashiv HaRuach, which means God who brings on the winds. And then in the summer we say Morid Hatal, which means God who brings on the dew. Now, I know that for many of us in our theology, this is not necessarily how we think of God. We don't think of God like Zeus, like some great weather maker. But what I will at least point out tonight to you is that the time in the year where you switch from saying the winter blessing, Mashiv HaRuach, to Morid Hatal, is right now, that it's right after Pesach. And so I hope that even if this prayer doesn't become a regular part of your prayer vocabulary, that you'll at least know that around the world, that we're looking at this very week as being in the time when spring and summer are coming, where truly that light and that warmth is upon us. We're going to continue now, though, as we always do, praying for everything that is in our hearts, but most importantly, praying for peace, for our community, for our country, for the state of Israel, on page 60 with the words of Shalom Rav. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim La'olam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim La'olam. Ki Ata Melech Adon Lechol HaShalom. Ki Ata Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim La'olam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim La'olam. V'tov beinecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael b'chol tov v'chosha bishlomecha. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim La'olam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim La'olam. And so in this time of year, in this special season where we feel particularly close to our loved ones, where we feel particularly close to God, we ask God to bring healing to those members of our family and our community who are in need of it. And so we're thinking tonight of Lisi Weinstein and Jerry Krause, of Arlene Alper and Charles Beach. We're thinking of Wyatt Cotton, thinking of Wilson, and for all those we keep in our hearts. Mi sheberach avoteinu mekol bracha laimotenu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mi sheberach מקור ברכה לאבותינו. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen. Ose shalom bimroma, ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'yakol Yisrael ve'imeru amen. Ose shalom bimroma, ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'yakol Yisrael ve'imeru amen.
So this week, Rabbi Michael and I have been sharing Passover stories with some of our colleagues. And there was one that I heard that was a great story, and as I started listening into it, I realized that it was familiar, and it may be to you as well, but I hope you'll give it a second listen. The story begins, as many Jewish folktales do. It begins in a small Jewish village, and into the Jewish village walks a beggar. I realize all the stories begin that way. We don't even say the word beggar anymore, but that's how they all begin. Into this Jewish village walks a beggar, and it is the night before Passover. It is Erev Pesach, and everyone has been getting ready, making their seders and getting everything all ready. And in walks this man to the center of town, and this man, he looks very much alone, and he's very disheveled, and he looks like he really has not been able to be taken care of or be with others for quite some time, but he still has this spark in his eye, and he calls everyone together, and he says, Landsmen, people of the town, Chevra, he says, I am going to show you a miracle tonight. Before you, I am going to create a Passover Seder with no one's help except for God's. So everyone sort of looks at him. They're thinking maybe he's a little bit mashugana, but you know what? They're like, why not? They've pretty much finished putting their seders together. So they crowd around the town square to see what he's doing. And the man, he sort of just goes in the town square, and he's just like pushing aside sort of invisible things and like straightening up invisible chairs, but he's not doing anything. And eventually people start to feel like this is a little bit weird, and they feel sort of bad for the guy. And so finally a woman goes into her house, and she comes out, and she has some matzah, and she says, no matter what, if you're going to make a Seder, you're going to need some matzah. And so he says, thank you very much. And he puts out the matzah. And then someone else runs into his house, and he says, they gave me way too big of a piece of horseradish this year. Here's some, you can have it. And one by one, the people go into their homes, and they bring out the gefilte fish, and they bring out the matzah ball soup, and they bring out some extra haggadahs, until finally he has this amazing spread just laid out in the town square. And finally he says, you see, I have made a beautiful Seder with nothing but God's help. And the people say, no, that's ridiculous. We were the ones who helped you. And he says, right? Here is God at work. That God has been working through the community, and through your generosity, together we have been able to make this happen. Right? It's a beautiful story about community and about coming together. And as I'm listening to it, I'm like, oh, I know this story. This is Stone Soup, right? Like, this is actually a children's story, and it's really not Jewish at all. You can use it for Jewish purposes, but there was something about the story that felt different than Stone Soup. And it wasn't just the fact that it happened on Pesach. You see, the difference between Stone Soup and this story is that when you think about the very first thing that you say when you begin your Seder meal. The first thing you say is, "Let all who are hungry come and eat." And as I was listening to the story, I was thinking, it's very nice that everyone came together and they all worked together and gave a little bit from themselves and they were able to build this thing. But wouldn't it have been easier if just one person had said, "This man looks hungry. Why doesn't he come eat with me?" What if just one person had taken it upon themselves to invite him into their home? What a difference would that have made? Here we are, and it's spring, and we have reached the season of Morid Hatal, of the dew coming down. We have reached this hopefully better place in our country and our world where things are starting to open up again. And I know that when we're able to come together, that we are going to start sharing stories of this past year, of what we have experienced and of what we have lost. There will be people who have lost their livelihood. There have been people who have lost a year of their education, people who are still suffering in their health, people who have lost loved ones. Everyone is going to have had a different experience, but I can tell you that there is one thing that I can nearly guarantee we all have in common, is that at least everyone this year, for a little while, has been lonely, has been very, very lonely, perhaps lonelier than you ever knew you could be. And even if you are one of the lucky ones who lives with family or who lives with a roommate, even if you are with other people still, this has been a lonely, lonely year. And even when we come back together, it's still going to feel lonely for a lot of us, because it is going to be hard to forget everything that happened this year. And it is going to be hard to figure out how to retrain ourselves, how to be with others in the same way again. Now, there are two ways that I think you can combat loneliness. One is through community, through everyone working together, through everyone giving just a little, just like in Stone Soup and just like in the story. And when we at Temple Israel, when Rabbi Michael and our staff and our board of trustees, when we've talked about what TI is going to look like in the year, we are talking about community a lot. And we are talking about the different things that we have learned in this past year about what it means to have community and how we can do that better in the future. Not just continuing what things were back in the old days, but truly having a new normal where we put community first and foremost and do things differently. And like in the story, I know that it will be beautiful, and we will feel that God's presence is with us if everyone can do just a little bit. But the Jewish version of that story suggests something else that can help us combat loneliness. That while it's wonderful to work as a community, sometimes it just takes one. Sometimes it just takes that one person who doesn't have an obligation maybe to reach out to a person who may be lonely or in need or hungry, but who takes it as an opportunity. So this is my challenge for you. My challenge is to say that now, before the world opens up again, what if you were that one person? Are there people who you have missed from seeing in this community, who you've missed from work or from school, that you could just reach out to? Because I will guarantee that every single one of us has had these moments of loneliness, and that it feels so good when someone reaches out. Stone Soup is a very nice thing. But to be able to be invited into someone else's world, to be able to have someone say to you, "You seem hungry. Come, let's eat. Let's talk. Let's be together." Sometimes that can be so much easier and make a world of difference. Now, this is not always an easy thing to do, and so I'm going to give you all a time frame to do it in, and the time frame is one that actually our Jewish calendar prepares us for, because we are in this special moment now on the Jewish calendar, and it's called Sfirat HaOmer, the counting of the Omer. And this is something that we do beginning on the first day of Pesach, and so we're going to do it each time we're together on Shabbat. So if you want to follow along with the blessing, you can do it. It's on page 278. And so you begin by saying, Hineni muchan umzuman lekayem mitzvat aseh shel sfirat ha'omer. I'm ready to fulfill the mitzvah of counting the omer. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al sfirat ha'omer. Our praise to you, Adonai, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to count the omer. And then we say, Hayom sheish yom. Today is the 6th day of the omer. So we'll do that each time we come together, and it'll be just a little reminder for us of how long we have, not just until Shavuot, but hopefully until the world opens up again. And this will be our opportunity to reach out, not just as community, but as individuals, to make a difference. The other special thing about Pesach is that on the last day of Pesach, which is tomorrow, we always have a Yizkur memorial service. Tomorrow's service is going to be in the morning. If you are interested in attending, it is over Zoom. So if you haven't spoken to me yet, please feel free to send me an email. I will check my email again before tomorrow morning so that I can send you a link if you're interested in coming. It's just a time where we'll say some prayers of mourning and memory and have an opportunity to share the names of those that we've lost over this past year. But tonight we recall the names of those who have been taken from us just in these past weeks. And our hearts go out to their families in sympathy as we recall their names: Steve Edison, Arthur Muskin, Gene Sachs. And we now recall the names of those, the anniversary of whose death occurs on this Shabbat, and whose names have been inscribed in the archives of our congregation or on the Wall of Honor for perpetual memorial. Ben M. Berger, Edwin Solomon Brownstein, Julia Sigaloff Cohen, Arnold Harvey Cole, Albert Kolowick, Dr. Harry Cutler, Jack Dubinsky, Joseph Epstein, Lori Shear Fadum, Joyce Ann Connolly Flaherty, Fanny Fox, Barbara Framer, Hulda Aronson Freund, Emmanuel Friedman, Dr. Ira C. Gall, Edith Catcher Glazer, Nathan Goldberg, Eugene Goldberg, Pauline Silver Goldman, Nathan Goldring, Harry Goldstein, Herbert Goldwasser, Louis Good, Gertrude Harris, Nathan Kahn, William P. Klauber, Samuel Kling, Nathan Koslow, Stella Wiener Kriegshaber, Kurt Levi, Jerome Lipkin, Yativ Shapiro Lipschultz, Bernard Littman, Saul Lowenstein, Norma Ludmer, Evelyn Ornstein, Alvin Perlmutter, Louis Abraham Platt, Sarah Shermer Poe, Joan W. Rosenblum, Florence Rosenfeld, Rabbi Alvin D. Rubin, Louis Sachs, Abraham Lewis Shapiro, Sophie Schorsch, Samuel Schuchat, Jack Schumann, Ralph Scherberg, Julia M. Schukart, Stephen R. Schukart, Philip L. Seitman, Margaret Snyder, Teresa Hartman Stillman, George Studna, Mildred May Tallman, Elizabeth Waldman, Shirley Weinstein, G. Daniel Wolf, Florence Brown Yalem, Jerome Jerry Zellinger. So with these names and the names we keep in our hearts, we turn to the words of the Mourner's Kaddish on page 294.
Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, ba'alma divarach yirteh v'yamlich malchuteh, b'chayachon uv'yomechon, uv'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala uv'yizman kariv emiru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mavarach la'alam u'mei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitala shemei dekudasha baruchu, La'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechamata, ta'amiran ba'ama v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mramav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort all who are bereaved. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mramav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imeru amen. So a lot of times on Pesach,
Jewish communities think about sort of our connection with the Black community, and we'll sometimes sing different spirituals. And then especially in a week like this, when Passover and Easter are really back to back, this is a time where we sort of like to think about some of our shared teachings and at least our shared music. So tonight we are doing a song for you that is not from the Jewish tradition, but is one that I think many of you may know, and we hope will speak to all of you who are watching tonight. Yeah, no, that's good.
All right.
Some bright morning when this life is over, I'll fly away to a home on God's celestial shores. I'll fly away. I'll fly away, oh Lordy. I'll fly away. When I die, hallelujah, by and by, I'll fly away. When the shadows of this life have grown, I'll fly away. Like a bird that prison bars has flown, I'll fly away. I'll fly away, oh Lordy. I'll fly away in the morning sun. I die, hallelujah, by and by, I'll fly away. Just a few more weary days and then I'll fly away to a land where joys will never end. I'll fly away. I'll fly away, oh Lordy. I'll fly away in the morning when I die. Hallelujah, by and by, I'll fly away. Shabbat Shalom and Chag Sameach.